Hey everyone, long time no see, TeriGigi here. If you missed me last week, that's because I was at my house down southern Alabama to spend a week with a friend. We had a great time. We went out to dinner. Did a little shopping, a little decorating, and went to the beach one day. This is before all this stuff started. And now I'm back at the apartment. It's hard to even know where to start, but I want to say that I have been on YouTube these past few nights, and if someone's making videos about clothing and things, it could kind of seem frivolous, even though it's a good distraction. But you don't want to hear doom and gloom either. So I just thought I'd come on here and share with you what I've discovered in the last few days. This all kind of went down Friday. If you're seeing this video later, today is Thursday, I don't know, the 18th of March. So all this may change by the time you see this video in a week, but right now we're free to move around in Alabama. The schools are closed, but other than that, social distancing and all the new things that we've learned that we need to do. I've been to the grocery store twice, one time to stock the house and one time to get some food in the apartment because we weren't sure where we're going to be. Scott is still working. I'm a little concerned about that because he's had cancer and he's 63 and I don't want him to get the virus, obviously, but it's in God's hands and he's being careful. They're all being careful. We got home on Sunday, and Monday I returned to my regular things that I do, and one of those being my prayer journal. And as I was flipping it to a new page, I came across something that I've shared with y'all a while back, but is so relevant today. This is specifically, I feel like I'm so out of practice doing this, but anyway, this is some questions that I had given y'all a while back regarding when you read your Bible, ask yourself these questions when you're reading verses and different things. But now these questions are so relevant to the journey that we're all in right now. Almost the whole world is kind of walking this journey of the unknown. It could be fearful. You could be fearful. You could be feeling bored. You could be feeling a little depressed. There's so many feelings we could be having. I always think back to harder times. And I've shared with y'all before, I love that book, Corrie ten Boom. And remember, if you're just having to stay in your house and that's it, and you have air conditioning and TV and internet access and books and computers and games and people, it's not that bad. You can do this. You can stay strong. I've been watching this show on CNN on Sunday nights. It's a series called The Windsors, and it's been absolutely fascinating. And it played the other night when Queen Elizabeth was 14, I believe, is when, Hitler was bombing London or England every night. And she did an address to the children of London, and her voice was strong and clear, and she was able to say, she didn't say, but she, as a princess, was able to say, I'm going to be away from my parents too, because Buckingham Palace got hit a few times. And it was just her resolve and her bravery, which she passed on to the children, and so they were brave. So I think we need to put on a brave face, a positive face, and not complain about the little things, which I'm sure most people aren't doing that. But if you are, consider it could be worse, obviously. Okay, so during this journey that we're all going to be on, at least for probably 2 weeks or more, who knows, here's questions to ask you about this journey. What is God up to, y'all? What's he up to? What's happening? He is using this virus all over the world. And I think we all are seeing our vulnerability as a world, and our connectivity as a world more than we've ever seen. I mean, we know people fly in and out constantly. We all know that. We fly in and out constantly to other countries, but yeah, there's a consequence, and or can be a consequence, as we've all learned. So it's going to be very interesting going forward. But while you're thinking about this journey that we're all on together, here's some questions to ask yourself in light of God and God's word, and what does this all mean? Not literally, but figuratively. And this was the same questions that you ask yourself when you're reading the Bible. Okay, is there a promise to claim? What promises does God have in general that you can apply to your life right now? If you're feeling fearful or depressed or kind of lonely, what are some promises that we can claim right now at the beginning of this thing, and be prepared for it to go longer? What I came up with off the top of my head was 2 Corinthians 12:9. His grace is sufficient for me, for his power works best in my weakness. I am glad to boast about my weakness so that the power of Christ can work through me. What he's saying is, when you're feeling weak and you turn to God, I mean, this is what I think he's saying, and you turn to God, he can show his power. You will see his power because you're going to be looking for it. There's a million promises that you can claim in the Bible for these kinds of times, that God is there, God knows, God hears your prayers, God is at work. So many, many promises. So that's a good one. Is there a promise to claim? Number 2, is there a lesson to learn? Wow, I think we're all learning different lessons. It could be, I wasn't prepared at all for this kind of a situation. I wasn't prepared monetarily. I don't have any money put back in the bank for a month or two for a disaster like this. And I think a lot of people are learning that living paycheck to paycheck is might be what you're doing, but you need to find ways in your budget to cut back. I mean, do you really need a $1,000 iPhone that you're making payments on? Things like that. You need to really, at this time when you're sitting at home, look at your budget and think, okay, I don't want this to happen again to me. I don't want to feel this vulnerable. So that is a lesson you might be learning in this situation. Another lesson is just being prepared in your own home. You know, don't let the cupboard go completely bare. Have a few little backups, you know, not crazy, not a hoarding closet unless you are a prepper. But yeah, being prepared, be diligent, do not be foolish. Do not be foolish enough to think that nothing ever like this can happen. I mean, we probably didn't think of it in this respect, a pandemic, but now we do, and it can come in other forms. So a lesson to learn. Don't let this go by without learning lesson. You may find yourself at your house and all you're doing is watching TV or being on the internet. And over time, that will make you crazy. So a good lesson to learn is, you know, I need other things in my life to interest me. Maybe I need to start reading. Maybe I need to start doing some sort of art, being creative. Maybe a lesson you can learn is use your time wisely while you're here in this time. Another one, is there a command to obey? And the main one that came to my mind is love your neighbor as yourself. If you see someone in need, help them. Even if you've prepared completely, this is a time for Christians to offer help. Offer what they need. If they need it and you have enough, pass on what you have. Even if you think, okay, I mean, I don't have enough for 3 weeks, but I can give my neighbor some toilet paper if they're completely out. You know what I mean? That whole thing is crazy, isn't it? Love your neighbor as yourself and put others before yourself in these times. In fact, Alabama was one of the last states to actually get the virus. So when we all went shopping, it was already kind of panic time. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. And I kind of thought, oh, I wonder what it's going to be like. And everybody was so friendly and everybody had camaraderie. In fact, I remember there was toilet paper on the shelf on Friday. And I took an 8-pack, and Daddy Ann was with me, and she took one 8-pack to take to Florida with her. You know, who knew? And this man walked by and he only had one. And he said, "At least we're not hoarders." And we all were laughing. And the lady that checked us out was smiling and laughing and saying, "This has been so crazy." And, everybody had such a sweet spirit. Now, if this goes on and on, that may not last, but that's how it was here. And I was very thankful. Here's another one. Is there a blessing to enjoy? Wow. For people that work full time and don't have a lot of free time at home, especially with their kids, this is a blessing. I'm kind of over these moms complaining about having to have their kids home with them. I mean, you're their mom. What are you complaining about? I mean, yeah, they might get bored. Well, this is your chance to be creative. This is your chance to be a blessing to your kids. This is your chance to bless them with your time, with face-to-face time. Don't just stick them on a screen or on the internet or on a video game. Take this time and use it wisely so that it will bless everyone in your family, and encourage your children to help you. So you're not buying takeout, you're not buying pizzas, you're not doing those things right now. Maybe your kids can help you cook. Or maybe you're always complaining, you don't have time to clean the house, it's a mess. Now's the time. Engage with your children and everybody get that house in top-notch order. That would be a blessing to your entire family. I mean, there's so many other blessings. I was thinking about them today. Now I can't think of them. But there's so many blessings that can come from this, as long as you're not sick in the hospital. Okay, I'm not talking about if that's going on. Okay. Is there an example to follow? And the one I came up with, and this is not knowing how long this is going to be. Paul says I believe he was in prison. But whether in plenty or in want, I will serve the Lord. I will be satisfied with what I have. That's a loose translation. But he was saying, I know what it's like to have a lot, and I know what it's like to have a little. Either way, I will trust the Lord. Either way, I will serve him in whatever capacity or whatever avenue he gives me to serve him. I will do that. So there's a great example to follow is Paul. Keep yourself up, whether you're in plenty or in want. If you have food, you have food. If you have electricity and ceiling fans and air conditioners and everything, be thankful. Don't look at the dark side, the bad side. Don't look at the negative. Don't become negative. Become a glass half full person, or overflowing. I feel like we're overflowing over here. Is there a sin to avoid? That's the last one. And of course, you can think of so many sins that you could do now in this particular situation. Hoarding to a point that it's just not right. Everyone needs things. Greed. Putting yourself above everyone. That's a sin. Again, love your neighbor as yourself. Another sin, I use that term loosely, is worry and fear. We are going to be fearful and worry sometimes. That's just human nature. God didn't say, do not have fear. He didn't say you won't have fear, but he said, don't do it. Don't do it. So as soon as you feel yourself getting fearful, anxious, go to him and ask him to calm your spirit. Don't let it linger around, because, Satan loves to have us in isolation, because when you're in isolation, he can whisper things in your ears. So you have to keep yourself talking to God on the phone with your friends, on the phone with your family, talking to your kids, your spouse. Don't isolate yourself and fall into the trap of fear. Another sin to avoid is self-pity, and because that's just not pretty to have a lot of self-pity. Just think about the fact that there's always someone that has less than you. And finally, anger. You could be really angry about this. You could be angry that you work in the hotel industry and now it's shut down and this is not fair, and you're just going through some anger times. Okay, you're right, it's not fair, but try not to go to the anger. Just keep a stiff upper lip, as the Brits would say. So that's some things that I have thought about this week. And funnily enough, funnily, is that a word? When I was in Houston, I didn't have my Bible study stuff with me. And I got this book off my friend's shelf in the morning when everybody was gone and was reading it. And then I ordered from her house, I ordered my own copy. And it just, I just got, well, I've had it, but I'm just now reading it. And how appropriate. It's not supposed to be this way. It's not supposed to be this way, you know? I mean, my husband and I are planning for retirement, and we haven't checked, but I'm sure our money is way down that we need to make it for the rest of our lives. It's not supposed to be this way. We were diligent. We were careful. We have money. Guess what? Some of it's tied up in the stock market, like almost all our money is. And it's like, it's not supposed to be this way, Lord. It's not supposed to be this way. Y'all, this book is incredible. It's so good. I'm only on chapter 3, but I have highlighted so many things. It's just so good. So if you need a good book, go online and order this, either on Kindle or buy your own hard copy. We're going to the house on Friday, and then I'm staying, and Scott's going to come back for 3 days, and then he has a 4-day. We had already planned on a 4-day weekend to do some projects at the house. And that way, if his business closes, we'll be able to just go live down there for now, and he can work from home, because we do want to be in a bigger space than this 1-bedroom apartment. We also want our washer and dryer. I don't want to have to go to the laundromat. So yeah, so that's kind of our rough plan of what we're going to do, not knowing what tomorrow will bring. Overall, I think we as a country are holding up well. I think our leadership and our government are really hitting this thing hard. And I was one telling my husband, this is ridiculous. I can't believe everybody's freaking out. You know, this is too much. This is too much. Well, it seemed like too much but they could see more in the future than us, because they were getting more data than the average American. And so it's not overkill. And now I'm sure a lot of people are really happy that they are taking it super seriously and wanting to help everyone across the board, you know, except those that have plenty of money. They want to help everyone. So that's an amazing thing. It doesn't matter who you are, what job you have, what political affiliation you have, you're going to get help as well. And that's going to be awesome for so many families. So that's all I have to say. I will talk to you whenever. Bye.